Alright, to start off my What's for Dinner video, I am making cheesy fajita baked chicken. And so here you can see I have all my ingredients laid out. I have some chicken, I have some bell pepper and onion, cream cheese, salsa, shredded cheese, and then I have my own fajita seasoning. You can, of course, use a fajita seasoning pack. When I was doing keto, I just got used to making my own, so that's what I'm going to use today. So to begin, you want to preheat your oven to 375, and then you want to place your chicken in a baking dish. Now, something that I learned after making this is that it's probably better to cut these up into strips instead of having just big chunks of chicken. So here I am combining the cream cheese and the salsa. Now this is going to look really gross. I'm just going to warn you. But it does taste really good. The combination of the seasoning that you're about to put in and everything, it tastes really, really good. So it does look really gross, I'm going to be honest. But it is super delicious, so please do it. So here I'm just mixing it up. My cream cheese wasn't as softened as it probably should have been, and next time I make it, I'm probably going to put it in the microwave just so that it creams up just a little bit better. After you've done that, you want to put it over the chicken. Again, this is not like appetizing, but I swear to you, like after it bakes, it's going to be delicious. So please trust me on that. So you want to spread it evenly all over the chicken. Alright, and now you want to take your bell pepper and your onions and you just want to place it over the casserole. And then you just want to add some more seasoning on top and dump a whole lot of cheese on top because that's what's going to really make it delicious. And then you just want to place it in your oven for about 30 minutes. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. It looks delicious, at least I thought it did. And I just served it with a salad on the side. This recipe was really good. It was delicious, but I would definitely chop up my chicken and also probably not bake it as long, just because the top got a little more crustier than I like. For my next dinner, I'm making some chicken and dumplings, at least my take on it. And as you can see, I have some chicken broth, I have some shredded chicken. I just took a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. And then I bought these frozen dumplings I'm going to try. I'm not sure about them, but I'll give you my opinion on it. And then in the bag, I have some frozen celery and carrots that I've already chopped. And then that is a tip for you, is if you wanted to save time, you can just chop them up and throw them in the freezer and pull them out whenever you need them. I also got some onion powder, basil, some Trader Joe's salute seasoning, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. So I'm going to use my Instapot because I love it. But you can certainly just do this on the stovetop. So in my Instapot, I am putting a little bit of oil, and then I'm putting in the frozen carrots and celery. And then you just want to, after those carrots and the celery are cooked a little bit, you want to put a little bit of flour in there. That's going to work as like a roux. I don't think I put enough oil looking back, but we're just going to go with it. And then you just want to pour in your chicken broth, and you want to scrape the bottom of your Instapot, especially if you're going to use it with pressure, because otherwise you'll get the burn notice. So that is what I'm doing here. Scraping the sides, scraping it up, plus you're scraping flavor up off the bottom of the pan. And then here I'm adding some extra water. At the end of making this, I realized that was a mistake, and I probably shouldn't have added that much water because it ended up being really kind of like chicken soup. Okay, now I'm going to add in my seasonings. You can, of course, add in whatever you want to add. Whatever you like to put in your broth. It doesn't even matter. This isn't technically a recipe that I followed. This just comes from years of making soups and things like that. So I like to put in some onion powder, and then I love to put in this Trader Joe's 21 Seasoning Salute. It's one of my favorite seasonings that you can get at Trader Joe's. And then I'm also going to put in some cayenne pepper and some basil. Now you just want to put your chicken in, and then I'm going to give it a really good stir. And then I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to cook it down for a little bit, and then I'm going to add in the dumplings. Alright, now I'm going to get my dumplings ready. I got these dumplings from the freezer section and thought they were kind of interesting. In the past I've made my own dumplings, but I thought I would just try to see if these were any good. So I'm going to cut them up, and my soup is now done, so I'm going to release the valve and let it depressurize. And then I have cut up here my dumplings into different pieces and kind of tried to separate them a little bit. They're kind of odd looking, and I'm hoping they puff up, but they don't actually. So this is what it's going to look like after you open your lid of your Instant Pot. About the same as it did before, nothing new. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn my Instant Pot onto the saute function, and so that I can start dropping in my dumplings. And then I just close my Instant Pot lid and let it cook for a little bit. And when it is finished, lastly I add in my green onion. Just because I don't like to cook down the green onion, I just like it a little fresh. So this is what it looks like. It kind of turned out like a cross between chicken noodle soup and chicken dumplings. It wasn't as creamy as we make chicken dumplings here in the South, but it was edible. So here it is plated up. I did add in some cornstarch to kind of thicken it up. I did not like the dumplings in the end, but they were okay, but I probably wouldn't use them again. Okay, for my last recipe, I'm going to make some Mississippi pot roast, or at least my take on it. I have an au jus packet, some ranch seasoning, a chuck roast, salt and pepper, and I'm going to throw in some onion, and I'm going to make some roasted potatoes and green beans on the side. And now I'm going to season up my roast and then struggle to get it into the pan one-handed, which, as you can see, was really difficult. Alright, so I like to do this step. You don't have to do this step, but I like to kind of brown it on both sides, just because that's what I've seen everyone else do. But you don't have to do that. You can just chuck it right in and not worry about it. So now I'm going to season the other side and get that seared on both sides. Alright, to prepare my mix, I have put some water in a measuring cup, and I'm going to put my au jus seasoning into the water, and then I'm putting in about a pack of what you would get for if you bought like the packet of ranch. I'm putting that in there, and I'm going to stir it up. And I like to do this instead of just dumping it straight in, just because I like to get it all incorporated together. All right, now I'm pouring in that seasoning pack over that seared meat. And I'm just going to make sure that all my meat is covered. I am going to use the Instapot and do this quicker, but of course you could do this in the crock pot, which is what the normal recipe calls for. Now I am at a horrible camera angle and I apologize, but as I told you, I am waiting on a tripod and things will get a lot better. But I always like to watch people chop food, so I thought maybe you would like that too. So I'm chopping up some onions to put in my Instapot, and that'll be the last thing that I put in before I get it started. And I'm just throwing my onions in, and I just like to quarter them and toss them straight in there. And now I'm going to turn my Instapot, make sure the valve is closed, and I'm going to cook it on high pressure for about 45 minutes. All right, for my side, I'm going to roast up some potatoes. To get this ready, I am lining a baking sheet with some foil and then spraying the foil with some cooking spray. And then I'm going to cut up my potatoes, kind of making them even just so they'll cook about the same time. All right, and to my potatoes, I'm going to put them in a bowl, and I'm going to put some ranch seasoning and some of the garlic. And I just buy the garlic in a jar. You could, of course, chop up your own garlic, but it's just a little bit easier for me, and I like the taste, so I like to just chuck it in there. I got this recipe from Kristen Stepp. She's a YouTuber who does what's for dinner videos, and they are certainly delicious, so I recommend that you give these a try. And then I'm going to add in some onion salt, some Trader Joe's onion salt. I like to use just because I like to be extra and like to put in my own stuff. And then I'm just going to lastly put some oil in there and mix them all up and get them on that baking dish that I lined with foil. And I'm just going to bake those at 375 for about 30 minutes, and that should get them all roasted up. All right, this dinner was absolutely delicious. I recommend that you try it. This is my take on the Mississippi pot roast, so definitely check it out. And this is going to be my last recipe. I will be back with more recipes, and let me know if you try any out.